Hello, Rebound here. Well, I got into camp decently early. I'm thinking it was probably around 3 maybe. I was the first one there. Set up my tent away from the shelter, and then I started seeing the wild ponies wander in. That was really neat. I went over to them and got some video, and then later they came and were eating grass right by my tent. So I was able to watch them up close for a really good while. They're not afraid of humans at all. They're not aggressive in any way, not that I would tempt it, but I've been really surprised to see the horses this far past the Grayson Highlands area. I don't ever remember seeing them this far before. And last night, in the middle of the night, I woke up and I heard them chomping grass right next to my tent, and I think one of them must have bitten the guy wire for the head of my tent, because I heard it being plucked, and so I had to scare him away. I just hit on my tent and made noise that way. Did not sleep real well. It was cold again this morning. My foot, I was really surprised at how I was able to hike yesterday. I can't remember how many miles I did yesterday, but I think it was around 13 maybe, or 14, and my foot still hurts. In the morning, I would swear that I'm gonna have to get off trail because I can barely put any weight on it at all. I did soak my foot in a stream yesterday, and it was like waking up in the morning. It's like I had to start all over again. And then eventually I start walking and it moves to an ache rather than a sharp pain. It's like an ache with every step. But yesterday I think the ache was not as bad, and so far this morning I think the ache, after I got going, the ache is not as bad as it was yesterday. So I think the part did not record where I was talking about having seen Sparrow again, and I told her, I said, sometimes this is a sharp pain and I can barely walk, and then other times it's like an ache. And she says, well, maybe it's just healing. And every time I've seen her, she's never said, don't hike. She always asks me how I'm doing. And by the way, she did not get off trail at that shuttle. That was just her husband sending it just in case she needed it, which was very sweet. So she is on trail. She's doing better, and I'm very glad to see that. She landed at the same shelter I was at last night, but I was dealing with some other emotional stuff, and I just didn't want to be around people. Plus, my foot was hurting, and I just wanted to recline. The trail I really enjoyed. In spite of the pain at my foot, I enjoyed yesterday. It was so different from any other part of the trail up to that point, and seeing the wild ponies is always neat because I like animals. And this morning, it was blowing up a storm, and I see some dark clouds in the distance. I have no idea what the weather is supposed to do. Today is day 4 since I've had a shower, and I'm feeling it. I do stink. I'm ready for a shower and clean clothes, and so I got one more day, and then the next day I'll take like 6 into the hostel. I'm staying at Long Neck Lair. And I think that's about it for the morning report. This is Rebound signing out. This is your random thought for the day. You might remember that I gave you a quote from Rebound. Coffee is not a drug, it's an experience. But one important thing about that I forgot to tell you, don't drink bad coffee. Just don't do it. Hotel coffee is the absolute worst, unless you're staying in some 5-star place that has K-cups, but even those K-cups, some of them are nasty. If you're drinking Folgers, you're not drinking coffee. Get some beans, fresh beans, and grind them up fresh each morning. It's like olive oil. I'll never forget the first time I tasted olive oil that was something other than Pompeii. It was cold pressed Texas olive ranch. I couldn't believe it. It was not even the same thing. If you've never had good olive oil, get some good cold pressed olive oil, preferably from an olive ranch. Texas olive ranch was the best I've ever had. You can buy California olive ranch, I think it is called, and it is a close second. You got to make sure you get the one that has olives from the same place rather than from all over the place. Make sure it's cold pressed and there's none of that bitterness. There's sort of a peppery taste to it, and it's just good. It's the same with coffee beans. If you buy fresh coffee beans and grind them up fresh each morning, it's a whole different monster. There is a fine art to grinding your beans. You grind them too much, they get bitter. You don't grind them enough, it doesn't have enough bite. So you got to find that sweet spot of just enough grind. And that is when you will get your best coffee. And that is your pearl of wisdom today from Rebound. Hello, Rebound here. Today was a very tough day. The trail itself was very mild. There really weren't any really bad ascents or descents. The rocks were not as bad, but my foot is really, really bothering me. I can take a lot of pain, but it's like pain with every step. I keep hoping it's going to get better. And I'm taking anti-inflammatories 3 times a day, and I am just not sure what to do at this point. To the next shelter would have been 16. Tomorrow I'm going 10 miles, and hopefully I will get to stay in Marion, Virginia at the Mary Inn. I'll probably just pick my box up from Long Neck Lair and move on. So that's about it for today. This is Rebound signing out.